We are taught to visualize mental health as an analog spectrum. It's the slider on a mixing board, moving through various degrees of mood, shifting between a depressed low and a manic high. Modern psychiatry relies on this linear model to categorize hundreds of specific malfunctions, placing every diagnosis at a precise point along that sliding scale. But facing the raw pressure of survival, the system sheds fine-tuning. The gradient collapses into a binary state. The switch is either up or down. In this on state, the ego executes high-speed software loops, generating internal noise to drown out a sense of worthlessness. This overheating state often presents to the outside world as a sudden burst of confidence. We see the manic consumerism or the relentless drive for power, and we mistake it for a peak of human happiness. The linear model prevents us from seeing these highs for what they are, a desperate, greedy defense mechanism. It is a system running at an absolute red line, desperately trying to stay one step ahead of a total crash. True emotional lightness requires resonance. It's the ability to trust the world enough to be mirrored, moving in sync like a murmuration in flight. If that resonance is broken, by biology or early trauma, the system loses its ability to connect. To survive the resulting isolation, the ego constructs a fortress. The narcissist builds their fortress out of false mirroring. Because they cannot find genuine connection, they run a software loop that demands constant external validation to fill the void. The psychopath operates from a state of zero mirroring. Without the biological hardware for empathy, they experience a total inner silence. They use manipulation and high-risk shocks as the only way to generate a signal. For those on the autistic spectrum, the unscripted noise of human emotion can be unbearable. The mind retreats into the absolute predictability of binary code. This retreat into structured logic created the digital tools we use every day. Elon Musk has publicly pointed to his Asperger's as a factor in his drive to solve human problems through the lens of physics. Mark Zuckerberg built a social landscape based on data structures, attempting to translate the chaotic flow of human connection into a predictable algorithm. These systems now organize human interaction, starting as a way to navigate a world where everyday emotional mirroring felt like a data overload. Narcissism, psychopathy, and autism appear as distinct behaviors, but they function as identical ego shields. They are the software loops used by an overheating system to mask a profound structural depression. Acceleration eventually hits a limit. By midlife, the ego's frantic attempts to outrun the inner void usually fail, and the old software loops begin to glitch. When the brain senses an imminent core meltdown, it pulls the emergency brake. It triggers a system-off state to prevent permanent damage. Major depression acts as a bottleneck. It is the necessary, brutal formatting of an overloaded hard drive. Viewing this shutdown as a chemical deficit to be bypassed misses its functional purpose. It is a biological reboot designed to stop the system before it burns out completely. Surviving that reboot changes your perspective. You step outside the frantic software of the ego and observe the system from the outside. This is the 720-degree adult. By surviving depression, you break the childhood loop and return as a free observer. The mind is no longer frantic, reaching internal saturation where it no longer needs the ego's greed for protection. This enables the swarm, a state where adults connect through resonance, interacting on equal footing without the old rules of the ego. Real healing comes from letting the fortress of the ego fall. It means surviving the system format and finally entering the quiet, unburdened lightness of real connection.